Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. With the Giants cutting their roster down from 90 players to 85 players. And then next Tuesday, having to cut it down from 85 to 80. And the Tuesday after that, 80 to 53. I wanted to take a look at 5 guys that could potentially be cut and would be considered surprise cut candidates for the New York Football Giants. Before I share my list of those 5 guys, I want to hear from the real ones in the comment section right now. Real ones, stand up. Let me know what you think. Who is a surprise cut candidate? Someone you think that's supposed to make this roster but won't make the roster. I want to hear from you in the comment section right now. I think Ricky Seals-Jones is a guy that's probably not going to make this roster. This is someone that has missed his 12th straight practice for an undisclosed reason. We don't know if it's because of injury, because of personal matter. We don't know what it is. But Ricky Seals-Jones has not participated in the last 12 Giants training camp practices. And when you look at this tight end depth chart, Daniel Bellinger is no doubt tight end 1. I still have Ricky Seals-Jones as tight end 1B, but I also have him hurt. Then you got Jordan Akins at tight end 3, then Austin Allen and Chris Myriak as well. I think the Giants are going to end up keeping 3 tight ends. I could see Austin Allen making this roster over a guy like Ricky Seals-Jones. And it stinks because when the Giants signed Ricky Seals-Jones in free agency early on, I thought he could be decent. Because coming out of high school, he was a 5-star prospect. Played quarterback, went to Texas A&M, switched to receiver, then he switched to tight end. Never really figured it out, but he has that potential and the skills. 6'6", can split out wide, has receiver skills as a tight end, no doubt about it. Just hasn't really been able to put it all together in the NFL. And with missing 12 practices at Giants training camp, I don't know if he's putting himself in a good spot to make this roster. We are going to be live, though, for the preseason game this Sunday. A little watch party, play-by-play, some drinks. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be chopping it up with you guys. If you love the Giants and you're looking for a play-by-play guy on YouTube for Giants game days, hit us up. Give us a follow. Turn your notifications on, and we'll see you this Sunday, 6:45 p.m. Eastern. This is a surprise cut candidate. I've had Jashaun Corbin as a guy that I think is going to make this roster, no doubt. But as this preseason goes on, I would not be surprised if Jashaun Corbin is a guy that doesn't make this roster. Because when you look at the snap count breakdown that went down in week 1 and kind of the carries, the way those were allocated among the Giants running backs, Saquon, he had 4. He's no doubt RB1. But Brightwell had 7. He looked really good. He was impressive. And Antonio Williams looked really good. He had 9 carries. Corbin also looked good. And he had some special teams versatility. He can return punts. He can return kicks. But Antonio Williams has that connection with Brian Dable and Joe Shane. He spent time with the Buffalo Bills, Gary Brightwell was just a 5th-round pick. I think Jashaun Corbin could be a guy that doesn't make the 53-man roster, but he's someone that the Giants try to sneak on and add him to their practice squad. An undrafted guy. Hopefully a lot of people around the NFL don't really know too much about him. And the Giants are able to sneak him on that practice squad. Because we know Barkley, Breida are going to make this roster. I think 2 more running backs make the roster. Whether that's Corbin, Brightwell, or Antonio Williams, I don't know. So I'm going to ask you guys the question. Help me out here. Which one of these guys gets cut? Because I do think 2 of these guys are going to make the roster. So I want to think and ask you guys. Which one of these guys do you think gets cut? Type JC for Jashaun Corbin, GB for Gary Brightwell, or AW for Antonio Williams. I want to give a shout out to all of the real ones out there. The real ones on Giants Now have been showing up so much that I told my boss that we need a Giants Now themed real one t-shirt. Step number 1, if you're a real one, comment real one in the comment section right now. And if you're really a real one, get your real one t-shirt today. Just go to chatsports.com/real one. Chatsports.com/real one. That'll bring you right to this t-shirt and show me that you're a real one by getting yours today. Another surprise cut candidate is Quincy Roche. And I love Quincy Roche. These aren't guys that I would cut. These are guys that I think could be cut. Remember that. Quincy Roche has been buried on this depth chart throughout training camp. He's been getting less reps than guys like Ellerson Smith and O'Shane Zimenez. And Jihad Ward has been playing outside linebacker. So Roche has not been getting a lot of reps. And that stinks because him coming out of last year's rookie season, he looked really good. And he was a guy that had some good games, had a couple of sacks, was a 6th-round pick for the Steelers, didn't make their 53-man roster, and the Giants signed him. But he has not gotten that many reps. Didn't really play against the Patriots, and he really hasn't gotten reps in training camp. Ellerson Smith, Tommen Fox, and O'Shane Zimenez, as well as Jihad Ward, have all been getting more reps than him during training camp. So that makes me feel like he could be on the outside looking in. But I do think when Joe Shane, Brian Dable, and Wink Martindale get together to talk about the 53-man roster, it's going to come between Quincy Roche and O'Shane Zimenez, as in which outside linebacker is going to get that last spot on the roster. Is it Quincy? Is it O'Shane? I want you guys to decide. Who gets cut? Who does not make the team? Type 95 for Quincy Roche. Type 53 for our guy X-Man O'Shane Zimenez. You can't talk about surprise cut candidates without talking about Darius Slayton. He's kind of in a bad spot because he started to look really good in training camp last week. Then he got reps with the first team against the New England Patriots, but then he got hurt. And now I think he's working his way back up. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, we're going to give you reps with the first team and see how you look good with them before we cut you. And if you don't look good with the first team, we have to move on. And that's what I think happened in the game. He had that good end around, got about 4 or 5 yards. Then he had that 17-yard screen pass that he caught. But then he got hurt, and he got himself out of the game. And sometimes the best ability is availability, and you're already entering in a wide receiver depth chart that's full of hurt guys. And Galladay, Shepard, and Tony, they're always hurt. And I'm not sure the Giants want to add another wide receiver in Darius Slayton that provides nothing in the special teams department that's hurt to this roster. I think 3 of these guys that are now on screen make the roster. I think 3 of Slayton, James, Johnson, and Board make this roster. I think Board makes it because he's a special teams guy. But I want to hear from you. Which one of these guys do you think gets cut? Which one of them? Pick one. Type 86 for Darius Slayton, 80 for Richie James, 15 for Colin Johnson, or 18 for CJ Board. Let me know which one of these wide receivers you think gets cut. I think Carter Coughlin is another guy that could be on the outside looking in when it comes to this Giants 53-man roster. Because when you look at the inside linebacker depth chart, we know Blake Martinez is going to make this team. We know Tay Crowder is going to make this team. We know Micah McFadden and Darian Beavers are going to make this team. Those are 2 draft picks from this past year. And I think it comes down to Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin. I think Cam Brown gives you a little bit more versatility at the special team spot than a guy like Carter Coughlin. Coughlin's kind of a tweener. He's not really an off-ball backer, and he's not really an edge rusher. He's kind of one of those guys that doesn't really do anything at an elite level, so they try to find a spot for him on the roster to be productive. And I'm not saying Cam Brown is a really productive player, but I think he gives you a little bit more juice on the special team side of the football. So I want to ask you this question. Which one of these guys do you think makes the team? I think it comes down, this is going to be a battle. It's going to be talked about between Shane, Dable, and Martindale. They'll ask Wink, which one of these guys do you want on the team? And they'll ask Dable, and then Joe Shane will make the call. But I want to hear from all the real ones out there right now. Which one of these guys do you think makes the final 53 roster? Type CC for Carter Coughlin or CB for Cam Brown.